Welcome to the Making of Me podcast, where we explore stories, experience, and challenges that shape us into who we have become. Today's guest is Jeremy Neilson, fintech entrepreneurs and venture capital experts with over 50 years of experience building investment platform and helping investors structure these through special purpose vehicle, also known as our SPVs. It's really a pleasure to have you on the show, Jeremy.
Thank you. Thrilled to be
Yeah,
here.
yeah, thank you. So, Jeremy, what were some of the challenges or experience that shape you into who you have become today?
Thank you. I think we all have lots of challenges. We all work
Yeah,
through our own little journeys. I think one particular one was that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And so I had left a prior job and I just didn't want to go get another job, right? I didn't want to go work for somebody else. And so I felt like I wanted to launch a business and I thought I had some great experience. That experience and I packaged it into a service and I offered it out to the marketplace and had lots of conversations, but nobody ever purchased that service. And so I created another product and nobody purchased that one either. And so I created a third product or service and nobody bought that one either. And I went 2 years of kind of failing and making no money and trying. And that was quite painful, quite, learnings, lots of experience there. And I think that's really shaped a big part of my life around determination. It also brings, fear as well. It kind of
yeah.
has some challenges with it, where you're kind of a little worried that that's going to happen again to you. But that's probably one of my big moments in my life that has helped shape me.
Wow, wow. That was really a whole lot. Had kept you going, doing the first business, the second, and the third.
Well, I'm a man of faith, and so I felt very spiritual and very helped by a higher power. But it also is that I just have to build stuff. I just have a really hard time working for other people, much to my wife's chagrin. She puts up with me. I once read a study that said entrepreneurs, they try to figure out what makes an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
Like, is it education? Is it parents? Is it background? Is it experiences? And the only thing they found after talking to, thousands and thousands of entrepreneurs is the only thing they found that is a common thread through all of them is that they feel like they are different than everybody else.
yeah, yeah,
So that's kind of me as well. What kept me going is I just believed. I just believed and ultimately it did break. It did become successful. That fifth or sixth idea actually did happen and things turned out well. But I don't know what kept me going. Just the fear or hate of working for somebody else. That's what kept me going.
wow, wow. Amazing. Yeah, you just make reference of the persistence and in showing of when there's no results. Yeah, it's really a whole lot, especially about like for entrepreneurs, especially just starting out. So, what were some of the biggest misconceptions people have about setting up and managing our SPVs?
Yeah, some of the misconceptions of setting up and managing SPVs. I think today the misconception is that it's hard and scary. It can kind of on the outside say, I really, some legal in there, there's some tax in there, there's some regulatory stuff in there, there's other things in there that are feeling a little bit uncertain. And many years ago that was the case. But today with Sally, which is a software I built, it just allows for a lot more ease, smoothness. You don't have to be scared. It's not hard anymore. And so that's a misconception I think people have is that it's hard and scary, but not any longer.
It's hard, scary, but not any longer. But I think that's the demand more like an entrepreneurship mind for you to be able to kind of go all ahead and get into it. The scary aspect of it is going to be there because think I was listening to the Founders podcast the other day and it made reference of in entrepreneurship. There's only two feelings. The feeling of excitement owing to the success of a particular product and the feelings of terror, being that you don't know what is going to come into being. You don't know how the next purchase is going to be. You don't even, you're still unsure whether the product is going to work out or is it going to be more like a bad decision? Yeah, amazing. So you previously co-found Assure, which helped power thousands of investment vehicle. What pattern did you see that shows the market needed better solution?
Yeah, I think the pattern I started to see was before Assure, when I did the Utah Fund of Funds, I started to see that entrepreneurs were not happy with the options. When I say the options was, I don't want to go into this one or two vehicles that were large venture funds, high fees, high minimums, blind pool. I just was starting to see that the investor base was like, I just really don't like that any longer. I would like to be a part of it. I would like to be part of the decision making. I would like to kind of control some more of what's going on, where my money's going, what it's going into. And so that was the first time I kind of saw something that perhaps there was some movement. And then the Assure story was, it was kind of the end of my failure. I'd had a little bit of success, but I got this phone call from AngelList, and they were like, "Hey, can you figure out how to do funds in bulk?" And I'm like, "Absolutely," because I don't even know what you're saying, but I'm going to say yes because failures. I'm an entrepreneur. I need to say yes. And I wasn't quite sure that there was something there. I just thought, maybe here's a client. Maybe there's some revenue here. And after about 18, 24 months where the clients just kept calling, our business grew and just grew and grew. I'm like, there is definitely something here. And it was kind of one of those interesting things where you kind of created something, and I actually wasn't even trying to sell it, and people were finding us and calling us. And so that's really when I knew something was happening. And it really turned out to be this desire to be a part of decisions, to be able to make your own choices. And so the SPV product was really allowing people to have a different option, a different solution than what the traditional solution had always been.
Amazing, having a different solution from what the solution have always been. So Jeremy, for our listener who are new to venture capital, can you explain what an SPV is and why it has become more like an important tool in private investing?
Yeah. So an SPV is an acronym for special purpose vehicle, and it really is this vehicle, and in our world it's a legal vehicle. And so you basically go to Delaware and you file some paperwork, and they set up a LLC for you, and that's the vehicle, but it's empty, there's nothing there. And what the whole point is like, why'd you set this up? And it's for a special purpose. And that special purpose is to aggregate investors so we can invest into a startup or real estate project. To explain a little further, when you go to invest into private assets, I kind of mentioned it before, the Utah Fund of Funds, where we were investing into funds and minimum check size, we were supposed to $10 million. Like we were required to spend or invest $10 million minimum. And so, people were like, I don't have $10 million. I want to invest. I want to participate, but I don't have $10 million. And so what was happening is, startups are very similar. It's not $10 million, but it's like 100,000. I don't want you to come to me with $1,000. That's fine. I'm glad and grateful that you have $1,000 to invest, but I don't want 50 people to come with $1,000. That's too much work. You're all on the cap table. It's messy. I don't want it. So what you do is you do a special purpose vehicle or a SPV where you launch a Delaware LLC. All 50 people bring their $1,000 check into the vehicle. Let's say it's $2,000 for math purposes. And so they put it in, and now you have $100,000 in your SPV. Now you go back to the CEO, say, hey, now we've got $100,000. And he's like, great, I'll take it. So that's, the use case. One of the use cases for an SPV is to aggregate smaller checks to make it a larger pool so you can get access and hit minimums when investing into startups or other private assets.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. So with your current company, Sally, how are you using technology to simplify and automate the creation and management of SPVs?
Yeah. So before at Assure, we did most of our stuff manually. And so it was, DocuSign or even paper, a lot of standing in lines or sending in paperwork. Things were very slow. And when there was ever like a mistake, it was a lot of work and effort to redo paperwork and stuff like that. And so what we did at Assure was we tried to build a little technology, and that was nice. We tried to build a bit more, and that felt nice, but it actually wasn't working very well. It was actually causing more work because the software wasn't very good and it just required us to fix a lot of things. And so ultimately, I shut down Assure 3 years ago and continued on this journey of building software that can help automate and make it even easier for private asset investing for SPVs. And so Sally now has all those features and functions and modules to make it as easy as possible for people to invest. And that's really deep and that's complex. There's profile setups and signing documents, generating documents, correcting documents. It's APIs into a bank. It's background checks and KYC AML. It's creating closing packages. It's creating capital account statements. So there's just kind of all these kind of nuances and elements. But if you have all of them and they're all connected and they're touching each other, now it gets really smooth. It gets really fast. It gets really easy without kind of the core required hundreds of features and functions. If you don't have all of them, it's just extra work. It's more work. It causes double the work, triple the work. But if you have them all, now you go from, if it's 100, just for round numbers, if it's like 100 hours, now it goes down to 1. If it's 100 hours without good tech, you doubled it to 200 hours. So kind of a unique, weirdish kind of outcome, but that's how it is with SPVs.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you for sharing, Jeremy. So, Jeremy, many new investors and syndicate leaders struggle with compliance and operation. What are the biggest challenges they face, and how can they navigate them?
The compliance and operations can be a struggle because, again, it's kind of fearful about it. Navigating it is important. You should navigate it. What I've done, again, it is a struggle. It can be fearful. I put that into the software so that I didn't have to worry about it, so that my customers, again, don't have to have that fear or worry. And so if you're not using amazing software, you're going to end up doing a lot of that stuff manually, and it's tough to track it. I'm not sure if you did it right. And so we have inside Sally those types of features and functions, modules, connectivity that make sure that those things are done or at your fingertips or makes it easy. Tasks that are 30, 40 minutes long now are 5 minutes long or less. And so it's much easier to do them. It's quicker to do them, and you can feel far more comfortable that you've accomplished and checked those off the list.
Yeah, amazing. With technology, it's easier to actually get a whole lot of things. Yeah, thank you. So, for founders who are seeking investments, what should they understand about how investment structures deals are behind the scene?
Yeah, kind of on the front end, you said behind the scene, so I'm going to jump to the front of the scene. It can look kind of simple. It can look easy. There's just a lot of moving parts behind the scenes. So when you set up a special purpose vehicle, you are signing up for kind of regulatory stuff. You're signing up for a lot of documents and signing. You're signing up for reconciliation, money movement, tracking funds. You're signing up for taxes. You're signing up for a lot of investor relations and so forth. And so I think just understanding that there is a lot that goes into it is important and can be helpful in just expectations and maybe appreciation of the work you go through to aggregate and put everybody in.
Thank you so much. So, lastly, Jeremy, looking ahead 5 to about 10 years, how do you see venture capitals and private investing evolving? And what role will platform like Sally play in shaping that future?
Future to me looks like a lot of SPVs. And why is that? SPVs have become increasingly more popular every year. And that is because SPVs are simple, they're affordable, and it gives investors the option to participate in building their own portfolio. If you go with a venture fund, which have their place and are great, but they're blind pool, which means I'm committing some capital, I'm investing capital, and I have no idea what you're going to invest in, which is fine. There's a place for that type of product. But what's happening is that investors are liking the looking and deciding on this particular investment, that particular investment, getting access to things that they find exciting, being able to do a little bit of due diligence of their own, feel like they actually made the decision themselves to pick a particular company. And so then they start to feel some ownership. They get excited about its success. And so the natural tendencies of us humans who like to be part of things, like to pick and touch and really feel close to the things that we are interested in or what we spend our money on. SPVs give that optionality. And so what I see in the future is kind of in my mind a graphic, if you will, where you see a meadow and there's a large number of trees, trees, and those represent the venture capital and private equity funds. They're big, important, and beautiful. And then there's grass, and those blades of grass are SPVs. So there's far more SPVs. They're smaller, they're nimble, they're more transitory, like they come and go, and they're a big part of the meadow and the ecosystem as well. And so there's a symbiotic relationship between the large blind pool funds and the fast moving, affordable, simple to use, deal by deal SPVs. And I just think we're just going to see more and more and more and more and more and more grass growing in the meadow.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Jeremy. So, Jeremy, for my audience who would love to reach out to you, connect with you, how can they reach out to you and where is the best platform?
Sure. The website, sally.co, sally.co. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn, Jeremy Neilson. And then I also have a YouTube channel called All Things SPVs if you want to see videos on the nuances and the details on how to do the various things and tasks with regards to SPVs. You can go to that YouTube channel and check out some of the videos.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jeremy. Definitely the link is going to be on the show notes. Your journey just shows that innovation in finance is not just about money. It's about building systems that make investment more accessible, efficient, and scalable for the next generations of founders and investors. If you'd like to learn more about our special purpose vehicle and evolving world of private investments, visit us. Sally.co. The link is going to be on the show notes. Yeah, thank you for listening to the Making of Me podcast, where each conversation uncover the experience and lessons that shape who we have become. Once again, the pleasure and honor happy on the show. Jeremy.